Live from Seville, this is The Twilight Show with Harry Waters. And you are listening live.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, depending where you might be. My name is Harry Waters, and I am here live with a very, very, very special show for you today. But before we do get on to that, I would like to wish you all a very, very, very happy new year. I hope that you are all well. I'm sure you are. I hope that your Christmas season treated you well. You didn't overeat. I certainly tried not to overeat. And yeah, I hope that everything that you hoped for came along, that Father Christmas brought you the presents that you'd asked for. And I don't know if you have three kings, but we have three kings here. And yeah, they certainly did bring what I wanted. It wasn't coal, though, because apparently, we're not supposed to get coal anymore. I asked for anything of a renewable sort to come along. So today, I have a very special show that is tugging at my green heartstrings, I must say. I am so happy, proud, and delighted to be able to invite and speak to Charlie from Learn, Play, Nexus, and we're going to talk all about some wonderful green ideas from them. I'm so, what's the word? They're so admirable from where I sit as a teacher and as an educator, but also as a greenie, because what they do just seems to be right. It's just, the way they go about their business, it seems to be the right way. And I'm really excited to talk to them about that. Now, I'm inviting Charlie to come along and say hello. So I'm sure it will pop up on his screen, and he's gonna click it and say, "I'm going to join," as it should be there on his screen now. We do have Ed, who's sitting here patiently in the wings, who will be arriving a little bit later. But Charlie will be the first to join us now. I've been speaking to Charlie a wee bit over the last few days. Good evening there, Tom. And yeah, Charlie Jones is the creative director at Learn, Play, Nexus, and he should be joining us now. I wonder if we can hear Charlie. Can I hear you, Charlie?
Hello, Harry. You can hear me.
I am live. Thank you for having us.
Excellent news. That is good. That is fantastic. Hopefully, everybody else can also hear you. I can certainly hear you on the Zoom conversation we have. So if you go mute on that would be awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
There we go. That was it. I had my volume turned up still, so I can now hear you loud and clear. So, Charlie, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. It feels like we've been dancing around dating for a little while. You know, that you've known my friends and I've known your friends, and I've wanted to meet you, and I've heard a lot about you from this person and from that person, but we never quite had that chance to connect. But now we do have the chance, and we are connecting, and we are talking. So, Charlie, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for coming on.
No, it's a pleasure to be on the show, Harry. Thank you, and I really appreciate that kind of build up. It makes me sound very elusive and very important, but much more than I am. Trust me. But I am humbled to be on the show, and we really appreciate already what you guys have been saying about us on your podcast, and I'm really excited to share some more kind of information today about kind of what we're all about, really.
I'm also very excited because, of course, I have investigated you. I've researched you. I've followed you, and yeah, I think that the first time I heard all about you was through Kids Against Plastic, a charity that I'm very keen on. I'm very, very closely connected to, being myself. I like to call myself a big kid against plastic. And they first mentioned you, and I heard this idea and jumped straight on your website and looked and was fairly astounded. And I later connected with Ed, who we will speak to in a little while. And yeah, he also mentioned about you guys, and that he'd learned about what you do and how you do it and how it had affected his school. And I was just like, I need to speak to this person. So I think a good place to start would be if you could maybe tell us a little bit about what is Learn Play Nexus, basically. So Learn Play Nexus, that's you are the creative director there, but what is it? Who are you?
Well, Learn Play Nexus is an educational supplier. We've been around now for almost 30 years, and what's special about what we're doing is we are actually going into settings, and we have representatives across the UK and Ireland. Is there a sound issue, Harry?
Yeah, you need to mute your Zoom. I've tried
Sorry,
to turn it down in full, but I can't turn it down on full on my phone for some reason. So you need to mute your Zoom there.
So let me go on to Zoom, and I will mute this. Okay.
And it will be absolutely perfect. I was trying to cover the mic and hold it as far away from the mic as possible, which might be, for those of you who can't see me, which is everybody other than Charlie right now, I was stretched across the room as far as possible to distinguish the fact that there would be no other sound issues. But Charlie has gone in and muted now because for some reason it won't allow me to mute him. If I have to, I will do as Tom says there, and I will just get rid of the Zoom altogether. But I do like to look at Charlie's face as we're talking.
I want to see your face, Harry, but I can't seem to unmute myself, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we can do is we can just hang up the Zoom and we can just go rogue and we can just listen to each other like true radio veterans. So I'm going to hang up on the Zoom there and we're going to go full on radio. So there we go. Now we're going to remove any issue that we have. The only issue is I can't see your wonderful faces. But let's get back to Learn Play Nexus and who you are and what you are and where you are.
Thanks, Harry, and apologies to everybody. I think I'm so now used to using Microsoft Teams at Learn Play Nexus. That's what we use all the time. That I just, when you just bounce from one to the other, and I think I just kind of like rabbit in headlights there. Where is the mute button? But hey, that sound issue's gone now. So back to what we're about. I mean, we're an educational supplier, and we design and introduce unique, innovative resources. And we also are one of the last sort of companies in our industry that actually go and visit customers countrywide, and because we have representatives throughout the whole of the UK and Ireland, and we go in and we demonstrate what we produce. Now, it's very hard when you have a new concept or a new product offering for education. Sometimes teachers don't know what they're looking for, what they need until they actually get it in their hands. And we work with educators, and we get their advice and their experience when we develop our products. But for all those other teachers out there that haven't seen that, they really benefit from getting their sort of hands-on and with the demonstrations that we offer. So that's what we're about, and we've been doing that, like I said, for almost 30 years now. And we also trade our products to over 30 countries globally. So there's lots of companies in Europe and elsewhere that are using British designed products designed by us and by English teachers. And we're actually going to go to for the first time in 3 years, because of COVID, we're going to go to the Nuremberg Toy Fair at the beginning of February, which is really exciting. And that's a chance for us to meet new and existing trade customers and find new resources, and that's a really exciting thing for us. So that's kind of what we're about, really.
Oh, it's lovely, and I do love that idea of showing people like what and how to use certain things, and not just being a catalog kind of thing where you here's a list of things that, okay, well, I'm a teacher that's been teaching for all these years, so I know what I need, I know what I want. I'm going to tick these 5 different things on the catalog, and that's going to come. You do have, you are innovating, you are changing certain things. So I guess that does really make Learn Play Nexus unique.
Absolutely, and I think having that personal relationship with a representative, and getting to see the things, see the thing, get the hands on the resources and see what that's all about. I mean, a prime example is a product that we developed for for mathematics, for papers to count up, and there's nothing like seeing that in the flesh and really getting hands on and also feeling the quality as well of what we're doing. And you can't really get that from a catalog, and sometimes not even from a video. So that's really what we specialize in. But obviously, we've got a particular point of interest that I know Harry, you're very interested in, and I'd like to explain that more as well today.
Excellent. There are various things I'm interested in about Learn Play Nexus, I have to be honest. But if we can go to one particular, here we go, sticking point, that would be wonderful. Pun intended. So the way I heard about you, it wasn't through me trawling through various suppliers of certain things. It was through other people, and it was all about the UFill glue sticks. Now, glue sticks have been the bane of my life for many teaching. I'd actually say my entire teaching career for many reasons. One of them being, where are the lids? I don't know where the lids have gone to any of my glue sticks, obviously. But the other one being the obscene amount of waste that comes with it. Now, particularly in a primary setting, when you're using glue sticks, a glue stick could probably last for somewhere between 4 and 7 seconds before it's completely gone and in the bin. And as somebody who is not particularly keen on plastic, and very not keen on waste, it was something that I've always thought, what's going on here? Something needs to be done. So I want to know, like, how did the UFill glue stick come about? How did it come to exist?
Well, we haven't always had an eco-friendly solution to our glue sticks, and haven't always had the best glue sticks. Let's be honest. Like I was saying earlier, we've been around for almost 30 years, and we've been providing glue sticks for most of that time. And when we go back to sort of the early stages of our glue sticks, we were just adding to our catalogue of products, really. We just had off-the-shelf glue sticks that we went to different suppliers and we tested those glue sticks out. And I think the real key thing here is the percentage of glue solids that are in that glue stick that make it any good, and the formula itself. And of course, we weren't developing our own glue sticks at this point, so we were kind of just stuck with what the industry standard was. And so I think the history of our glue sticks. You've got the quality kind of hurdle to come over, and then you also have obviously the environmental impacts, which I'll go through. But the history of our actual glue sticks. We start off with a white glue stick, PVP glue stick, and it was between 18 to 22% glue solids. You hear a lot of teachers that say, "Oh, glue sticks, yeah, but do they actually work? I mean, this glue just comes apart, it puckers the page, and get all lumps and bumps on it." And this is because glue sticks have a lot of water in them. That's how they're made. And when we're talking about 18 to 22% glue solids, well, the rest of that is water, effectively. So when you've got a low percentage of glue solid, you're going to get too much water. That is going to ripple the page, and when it does actually set, that glue isn't going to be very effective. Unfortunately, there is the issue is that there's a lot of business managers in schools are price driven nowadays. Obviously, the costs of everything has gone through the roof, and it's, well, can I get the cheapest glue stick? And the problem with that is you are getting what you pay for. And we were just another one that supplied glue sticks like this for quite a long time. We didn't specialise in glue sticks as such. You know, we specialise in other things, and that was just another thing really that we introduced into our range. It's only really been the last sort of 6 to 7 years that we've actually worked with our own chemist, and we have developed our own range of glue sticks. And so we now have 3 different types of glue sticks. We've got a blue stick, which is fantastic for early years children because they can actually see where they're sticking. It's also very important for children to learn not to use too much glue. This is part of this kind of environmental journey we went on. It's very important to get a blue stick in for early years because we're realizing that children just use too much at an early age.
Yeah. Oh, they really do. They really, really do.
I bet you've seen that many times in your line of work, Harry.
Oh, so like today, I had there was an activity that involved gluing, and it's an endless thing of saying to the students, you don't need that much glue. You don't need, and you know they're putting it on the page, they're putting it on the other thing, they're putting it on the table, they're putting it in their hair, and it's like you don't need to use that much glue, guys.
I need your I need your address for your school, and you need some blue sticks ASAP, so we can help you with that.
I can give you that, no worries.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to do for you because I think what you need is that blue stick. You need to see they're sticking, and then they're not going to use too much, and then of course it dries clear. But then when you introduce blue, you lose some glue. That's just how the formula works, obviously. So but our minimum glue solid in our own formulas is 30% glue solid. So that adhesion is very, very strong, and it's very, very good. And then we have our white stick, which is a PVP stick, much like some of the other famous brands out there that you're used to, and that's a 35% glue solid. And then moving on, we have a clear stick, which is our most premium glue stick. It applies. It's got 45% glue solid in it. It applies very smooth on the page. You know, you get very low puckering because there's very low water content. You can stick the heavier items. And the point I'm trying to say here is that we've actually become we've really come a long way with our glue sticks. We've learned from the past. We've developed our own formulas. But hey, that's only one part of it, right? The quality of the glue stick. Then the environmental impacts, though, how much waste there is in glue sticks is just astronomical. And this bugged us because we, as a company, we want to be as eco-friendly as possible. And, you know, there is talk out there that you can recycle glue sticks. Is that something you've heard before, Harry, that you can actually recycle glue sticks?
Yeah, it's something I've heard. But it's not something that I've ever seen done particularly well. A, in any school I know, or B, in any language academy. I've heard it mentioned, but you know, I've not seen it in action.
Well, the thing is, you actually can't recycle a glue stick. It is just kind of propaganda, really. And, you know, have you ever had? You know, obviously we've all heard that if you contaminate your food, the plastics that your food come in, if you don't clean it out properly, then that's not going to get recycled properly. Well, if you imagine a glue stick, it's when you've used it, it's full of glue, little glue residue in through the spine. What's more is you've got 2 types of plastic. So you've got a polyurethane screw base and core, and a polypropylene tube. And the reason for that is the polyurethane is softer plastic than the polypropylene. That means that screw mechanism works really well. If it wasn't like that, you'd have too much friction and it wouldn't work. So you have to have the 2 types of plastics. Now, that means then that you have 2 plastics that are very, very hard to separate. And then, of course, you've got the contamination. That means that every glue stick, prior to the system we developed, which is now a refill system, have always either been burnt or buried. It either goes into incineration or landfill. And unfortunately, it's not true. You can't recycle glue stick. And we spent a year trying to work out, how do we take a glue stick apart? How do we innovate this? What do we do? How can we change the glue stick? And we realized that actually the glue stick's fine. You know, it's like, the best analogy I can give you, it's like getting a mastic gun and getting a tube of silicon and using that silicon tube up. And when that tube of silicon's done, you don't throw the mastic gun away. You just get another tube and you use mastic gun again, and you
Exactly
can
that.
use it
Yeah, that's a
again and
brilliant.
again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we came round to, okay, well, we need to make a refill for this. So we developed UFill, and we branded our glue stick range UFill. And so we have these 3 types, and they all have a refill canister. Now, it's very easy. Once you've used the glue stick, you've used that tube of glue, and then you just get the refill. You take the screw cap off, and you apply it to the top of the glue stick. Simply wind it in, and away you go. I mean, obviously, you'd then think, well, okay, so you've got a plastic container with a refill in it. So now what? So you've just created more plastic. Well, the benefit now is that I've got an airtight container, which makes the shelf life of that glue inside of it much longer. Because we all know a glue stick isn't fully airtight. If you put water in an actual glue stick, in a barrel of an empty glue stick, it will pour out the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute a glue stick's made, it's starting to dry out. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay. Obviously, our glue formulas are made so that they last the longest amount of time, but there's nothing like a refill canister. So you can store these for longer. What's more is we're now trying to educate our settings now to say, right, don't just buy how many glue sticks you're going to use, buy how many glue sticks you actually need and refill them. So what we actually do is we offer boxes of 50 refills, and they actually get 10 glue sticks for free whenever they get those. So then the idea is that they have a smaller amount of actual glue sticks, and when they're depleted inside, then they refill and keep refilling those, and they need more refills in their stationary cupboards. This is a whole new way of thinking about the glue stick cycle.
To me, it seems like such a logical thing of it. So I think about the number of glue sticks that I've been through, or the number of glue sticks I've seen used and just thrown away, as you say, or even somebody who's thrown it into the recycling thinking it can be recycled, which obviously can't. So that ruins that whole batch of recycling as well. And it just seems like, I don't imagine it is a simple process, but it seems like such a simple idea to have a refill glue stick. Like, I can't understand how this is brilliant, basically, but it just seems like a logical thing to do. So it's amazing that you're doing it, and it is something that when that's introduced into a school, and when a child sees this happening, it does just it starts that belief, and it shows these students straight away, and builds this idea of, we don't need to get these disposable things. We can get refillable this, we can get refillable that, and it can just encourage that just from the ground up.
Absolutely. And we actually do other refill products in our range. I can come on to that a bit later, just to sort of give everybody an idea about how we're always trying to push the envelope and always trying to develop everything, and not be complacent with, well, okay, that's the way that's been done for all that time. That's the way it's got to be. I think you've got to look at the environmental impact of everything that we're doing as a company and collectively. And we've got to think, well, someone's got to look at that and go, well, look at the amount of waste there is. And when you actually talk to recycling centres and ask them, I mean, please, I implore everyone to do it. Ask them, can I recycle glue sticks? And they will, well, see what they say to you. And then once you understand the truth, you see the need for this, because how many glue sticks every year globally do you think are going into the bin? It's just astronomical. We've now, with our system, and we haven't eradicated it, because it would take everybody to adopt this system all together at once. But certainly with our customers and the people we service, and in our line of work, we've eradicated single-use plastics for glue sticks, and something we're very, very proud of. And you may ask, well, okay, so what happens to that refill? Well, we do a drop and swap service. So what happens is, if a setting has got 50 refills from us, They've got their 10 glue sticks that they've used up, then they've refilled each of those glue sticks 5 times each, obviously, because you've got 50 refills there. You've got a box of empties. Well, you're ready to order some more, aren't you? So what you can do is call us up. You order another box of 50. We then, at the same time, with the drop and swap, we collect your empties. At the same time, we deliver your fresh box of 50. So then we take those back to our warehouse, and they get stored away. We are currently working towards our first 100,000 empties, and once we've got all of those 100,000, that will be the first batch that will be sent back to our factory to be reused in production. And so that's all that plastic that hasn't been just thrown away, or it's not single use. It's going to be reused in production. And we've over-engineered these canisters so that they can actually survive that journey, and they will be very good to be used over and over again, certainly for a good few number of times.
Yeah, when you showed me that box, I was thinking, wow, that's going to be like when it has another like load of glue in it, it's going to be a second generation of glue within that like thing. It just it made me tingly and green on the inside, I have to say, because just before when we had our Zoom connection there, he did show me a box of them, and it filled me with. I'm not sure if it's a normal amount of joy, but it was certainly an amount of joy that that not many people would associate with glue sticks for most people. But for me, it was absolutely unreal to see that. And now I've mentioned very briefly before that I have investigated a bit, and I've looked at your site. And before we bring Ed in, which we will do very shortly, now, Learn Play Nexus isn't just about glue sticks, is it? You mentioned very briefly some of the other things you do earlier. You mentioned with numeracy and stuff like that, but there's an awful lot more to Learn Play Nexus than just refill glue. Let's be very clear from the start out. So, what other sorts of things do you make and do you produce at Learn Play Nexus?
Yeah, well, we're specialists primarily in early years. So we do have a comprehensive arts and crafts range and a stationery range, which of course are for all age groups in education, really. But we do have a focus on servicing nurseries and sort of reception year one age groups for education. And we've developed a number of things, and firstly, going back in the history of our company, we have made a number of innovations. We were the first to do a triangular whiteboard pen, and we did one of the first children's whiteboards. And there's lots of things we've listened to over the years and worked with teachers. One of our sort of pride and joy, really, resources is our PEGS 2 range, which we work very closely with Dr. Angela Webb over a number of years. She was the chair of the National Handwriting Association. Her life's work was helping children with poor motor coordination, and her passion has always been handwriting. And at this stage, I should mention that we're a family-run company. It's my father who's the CEO, and she met my father. It must be about 9 years ago now, when she was the chair of the NHA. We're a corporate member of the National Handwriting Association, I should mention, who are a great charity who do just brilliant things for pushing the awareness of handwriting and best practice. But she developed a concept called Pegs to Paper for literacy, which is all about developing the linguistic skills, the positional language, the posture, the handwriting grip with a specially designed peg that we've done, and we evolved that range into a numeracy range, so it's really effective for teaching maths and sabotaging and colour, number and position. And we also have a whole construction range. And just on the topic of eco, we recently in recent years changed the production of our pegs and pegboards from EVA foam, which isn't the best for the environment, let's be honest, in the boards, and the pegs were made of PP plastic. Well, now we've innovated our own material of wood pulp, and this is a 70% wood pulp, which is basically the byproduct of other wooden products that we manufacture in the same factory. And it gets kind of like all put together, and then it binds with 30% resin, and that is a perfect alternative to using plastic and EVA foam. And so we've made that innovation, but we do we do a wide range of resources, and we do outdoor play, and we've got a again, it's always a topic for us, is how do we make this the most environmentally friendly as possible, whilst also keeping the same quality. And we introduced a bike range recently, which you can get spare parts on the wheels, the handlebar grips, everything. So it's a bike for life. What a shame to have a bike that just gets thrown away. If we think, right, okay, well, how do we make this sort of continue on and keep giving it life, and so we have all the spare parts for that. And we have another bike that we recently introduced, which also uses that wood pulp material that I mentioned in some of the frame and the wheels. So I think and refillable products are very important to us. We've got a pastel, really famous pastel that people love using. It's called
I was
silky
just
pastel.
looking at that. The chalky pastels. Oh my, they look so cool.
Yeah, the chalky pastels are a real one of the favourites, and you can do many things. Lots of surfaces you can draw on. They're water soluble. We've got refills for those. The silky pastels we also do, which is another type of pastel. Again, we're going to make refills available for that very soon. And the UFill system itself, it may evolve from not just being glue. Let's put it that way. We may evolve this into other refillable products. So stay tuned for that too. But it's like I said. I think the theme here is that one of our kind of primary driving forces at the start of product development is the eco credentials of that product, and are we doing everything we can to be as environmentally conscious as possible at the source of production.
We've got a question here from one of the listeners. His name's Pat, and he runs a plastic recycling program at schools, and he says that there's an issue with the recycling codes on products, and he was wondering what happens at Learn Play Nexus with the recycling codes.
Okay. I mean, recycling codes, I'd say.
So the plastic numbers, I guess I guess that's what he's talking about. I know that the aim is to not actually have to recycle anything with the refillables. Certainly, it's all about reusing them and not recycling them at all. So I know that's the aim of those ones.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, to be quite honest with you, there are limits to my knowledge on certain detail, but I know that we do everything we can. But I think like I said, the plastic element of UFill, for example, we are taking the recycling element away completely. So
exactly.
we are sending this back to production. We're refilling these, and we aren't really asking anyone to recycle these at all. And you know what? The issue with recycling is. I mean, Ed would elaborate on this soon when he joins. But the big plastic count was a bit of a shock when that came out. And and I think we're trying to take that out. We're trying to take the unknown out of this process. We're trying to manage this from start to finish, so we know where it's come from, where it's going. And we're not asking anyone to put this into recycling at all.
Exactly that. It's one of the things I know here in Spain. It's certainly something that people often use in a kind of, they say that, well, I recycle. That's like their kind of answer to, does it matter that I drove 400 meters to school because I recycle? But then a lot of people don't know what they're recycling or how they're recycling. And the whole idea of this, and I absolutely love this with it, is it doesn't mention that. It's reuse, refill, rethink, as opposed to the classic mantra of reduce, reuse, recycle. And that's a mantra I can really get on board with. This the whole rethinking aspect of things, as opposed to going directly to recycling. And that's not to belittle Pat at all in any way. I do think it's important that schools do recycle what they can. I think it is very important that they do. But this wonderful idea of not having to recycle is absolutely brilliant.
And I'd say, by the way, again, thank you, Pat, for that question. Sorry I couldn't answer it more. I know that my operations director could probably fill in on a few things there that I couldn't. So I'm sorry I couldn't answer that question. But I do know we are doing everything we can, and I think that But hey, we're a small company, and maybe we don't know the full answers to those questions, and there's ways we can improve. But I think where we're trying to take things into our own hands, like I said, it is important. But onto the refills again, the primary driver is for us to have these back into production. But we do say something else as well, which is important to note, is that if you are thinking about buying a TENS frame, for example, a plastic TENS frame to teach maths in school, if you're looking to buy plastic containers to put paint into, and numerous other different things, just have a good look at this free byproduct that you've got from refilling your glue stick. Now, the best thing for the environment is to send it back to us, because we will make sure it gets refilled and reused. But if you're going to buy another piece of plastic to do a job that this can do instead, one other version of this story is to say, why don't you consider keeping back a few of the TENS frames and using them to store liquids, because they are airtight containers, they're stackable, so they're ideal for mathematics. They're on a TENS frame. I mean, we used to provide a product called linking TENS, right? And the TENS frames are saturated in the marketplace, so it's nothing new. But we provided our own version of it in EVA foam. Again, I mentioned earlier, isn't the best thing for the environment. So this actually does that. You could fill this with sand, different coloured sand, and you can do exactly what that product can do. And it comes in a TENS base, and I know this is audio only, so you can't visually see what's in front of me, but you can actually stack these on top of each other. The reason for that, for the refilling element in the production, it means that we can take away the issue of the cardboard wilting, and in transit, because we're not relying on that cardboard. If that cardboard goes, that houses these TENS frames and these refills, we can just stack these, and they can get palletized, and it's not an issue. So, but that same engineering for the transportation, well, we've also thought, well, if you make it a TENS frame, you can use it for maths, and I mean, hey, anyone who's interested in this system, if you get hold of it, you will, trust me, you'll see endless benefits to this. And all I'm saying is, if you're getting boxes and boxes of 50s, and for your school, 90% of it, send it back to us. That's the best thing for the environment. That 10% of them, though, you keep back, you may just prevent the planet from giving birth to more plastic for other purposes that you can reuse this for as well. So I think that's a really important thing to bear in mind for reusing as well, because I think, and Ed will probably better help me out on this a bit later on as well, for ideas, and what as a teacher, and obviously Harry as well. I mean, I think Harry, I'm really excited for you to get your hands on those blue sticks. And
you have no idea how excited I am. And another thing you mentioned, we are audio only, but you can send me some pictures. I will happily share them around to show the listeners, what we've been talking about. So yeah, I'd love to see that box you showed me earlier, and yeah, some other bits and pieces that have been stacked, and yeah, show me these things, because I would love to see them. Now, before we'll bring Ed in very shortly. He's been very patient. I am a big fan of Ed's, and his patience is excellent. But I'm just going to say one more thing before we do bring him in, if that's okay. Now, as I said, I have looked a lot at your site, and what I really love with a lot of the the other learning stuff, so like your balancing scales and your balance beams and the easels and the crates and stuff like that, it's all wooden. There's it's well, a lot of it's been built from wood, and there's very little like what seems like unnecessary plastic. And it seems to me like what you are doing and the way you are going is eliminating that unnecessary plastic. You know, there are going to be times when it is a necessary evil and we do need to use it. But from what I can see, from my point of view, is these areas, it seems like you're using better materials where you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, going back to that material that we have developed, wood pulp. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic, and we're using it as much as possible. But there's some instances where you cannot use wood pulp because it doesn't go to it can't be stretched very thin, or it can't be used. For example, the pots in our peg system that I mentioned earlier, we could do the pegs made out of that material, but the pots are still made from PP plastic because it was a too thin. The pot itself was too thin, and the way the mold works, so it wasn't possible for that product. Otherwise, it would break. And the resin to wood pulp formula wouldn't work in that way. So we're pushing the boundaries as much as we can, but then we have to remember as well that one day I have this vision that we will move away from plastics, almost entirely, but plastics that have a long life, that can be washed, that can be that are strong, that are quality, that have a purpose that isn't single use. I think the main thing is targeting single use. I mean, all our packaging is paper tape. We use paper fill in our boxes. I think also that there's like a kind of time frame as well, and it's like trying to get everything over to the green side is kind of like impossible to start with, and we're a small company, and I think that we are doing everything we can, and it's a process. And no doubt you'll see there's some things that we supply that are still plastics that we can develop out of new materials, but it's certainly a process. But I think that, like I said, there is a place for materials, and sometimes PP plastic is a good solution. But for example, we use bamboo for construction products that we've developed, and it is just the most amazing resource. I mean, obviously, I'm sure most people know a lot about bamboo and how great it is, but we use a particular bamboo species that grows up between 5 to 7 years. Most woods, if you cut down a tree, that tree's taken about 40 years to grow to full maturity. You cut the tree down, and that's it. Bamboo, 5 to 7 years, grows up, amazing, really strong resource, does a lot of things that, probably all the things that wood does. It looks beautiful as well. But you cut that down, and it's like making a product out of your front lawn. It's a grass. It grows back. It grows back again in 6, 7 years. It's back again. And the forests that that our product is taking that material from is well managed, and it's been proven that large amounts of bamboo forests are actually having a positive impact on CO2 emissions, because it's absorbing more CO2. So it's a great thing all round, bamboo. We've got a very unique set of stem building blocks that are called bamboo block play, which we've made very, very popular with our customers. And it's made from that material, and it goes through a special process, and the quality is phenomenal as well. But I think that it's nice to have something that does everything and more than its traditional wood equivalent, and looks better, and is just amazing for the environment. So we're using bamboo for our pegs to count up, I mentioned earlier, for numeracy. We've got vehicles made of it as well, and lots of things. There's more to come as well. So bamboo is definitely up there in one of the resources one of our go-to resources, I'd like to say, for developing product.
And you're right, because when you look at it, you can't necessarily. No, this is not in a negative way at all. You can't tell the difference between it and a wood like block set. You know, if I looked at this bamboo block play and I looked at it without it saying bamboo block play set, it looks like wood. You know, it doesn't look like something especially. It's a beautiful thing. It doesn't look like, you know, a second-rate material by any stretch of the imagination, because it just isn't. But so many years we've been so used to using wood for all these different things that it becomes difficult for people to make those changes and companies to make those changes. And as you say, like with a person, it's a process. You know, it's one of the things I always talk about with it's New Year's, you know, New Year's resolutions. People often, you know, their New Year's resolution is to give up smoking, get healthy, be greener, become vegan, you know, do all of these things at once, and they fail within 3 days and give up. Whereas what they need to do is think, you know, by the end of the year, I'd like to maybe do these things. So I'm going to take steps to do this, to achieve this. And what I can see is that, you know, in the almost 30 years that you've been around, that you clearly are taking those steps.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a ever ongoing learning curve as well. And yeah, I think that there's a lot more we can look at in our product range to improve. But trust me, everything that is being reordered or developed from scratch, like I said, the primary emphasis is on the environment. And you know, the nice thing is, I love the way the wood pulp and the bamboo products look. You know, the wood pulp is a bit muted. You know, the colours are a bit muted than the PP equivalent, PP plastic equivalent. It looks eco. It's it's tactile. It's got little flecks in it, and it just, I think it's everything. It's better in every way. You know, yes, you wouldn't put it in a dishwasher like you could PP plastic, but you can use you can put wipes on it. It's very important to keep things clean in early years of educational environments and in nurseries. But yeah, you can, yeah, you can't put PP. You can put PP plastic into a dishwasher, but we can put wipes onto wood pulp and clean it in other ways, and it's just fine. Yeah, the performance of the product in every other way is just as good or even better. So I think that it's nice to, you know, you go through a process when you develop products and you think, are we going to lose something from if we change this, are we going to lose something? You know, we're going to lose a bit of quality or a bit of durability. And it's nice when it goes the other way. I mean, the bamboo, for example, goes through a carbonization process, which actually makes it stronger. You know, it's incredibly strong, our bamboo that we use. And the caramelization process kind of gives it a bit of a kind of a darker sort of tone as well, and it does really look nice as well. So yeah, I think
Oh, it does. It looks like varnished wood.
Yeah,
like
it's nice.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, so it's all positive stuff. It's this development stuff, but you know, you've got to trial and error these things, and you know, it takes a process. Things don't happen overnight. When you want to make a new material, or you want to change the script on something you've done for so many years, you know, you need a lot of prototyping. There's a lot goes into this stuff, and you know,
Yeah.
hey, we're one of, you know, there's not that many of us British companies that are designing their own early years resources in the way that we're doing, and we're very, very proud of it.
And rightly so. Now, I am going to bring in our special guest, Ed Moore, now. He's been sitting, as I say, patiently in the wings. So I did speak to Ed a little while ago. I've been very impressed with his work at his school and his eco-ambassadorial role. And he was the second person that mentioned Learn Play Nexus to me. So, Ed, do you read me?
Hello, Harry. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thanks. I'll tell you what, without the Zoom there, I was a bit nervous that maybe you'd nipped off somewhere, or, you know, you'd gone to do something else, but you hadn't. You were there, which is a great relief to me. So it's a pleasure to have you on again, Ed. Thank you, and thank you so much for your patience.
No, thanks for the invite. It's great to be on again, and I've been listening into the chat of between you and Charlie, and yeah, it's really interesting, really good.
Now, I'm going to go to you now, if that's okay. so everything that Charlie said, it's wonderful. I've loved to listen to all this. But what I want to hear now is from you as an outsider. You're a teacher in a school. So I want to know, how did you hear about Learn Play Nexus, and more importantly, how did you start working together?
Well, basically, over the last 2 years, glue sticks have been a huge problem within our school. We throw away thousands of glue sticks every year, which costs us money for them to be taken away, and they just don't last that long. And my eco crew, they wanted to find a way that perhaps they could be recycled or reused, and they wrote letters to some of the big glue names, who said that they could be recycled, and we know they can't be recycled, because they then wrote to all the county councils around in England. They select 10, and every single county council waste department said they can't be recycled. They would contaminate the process, where literally, as well as those glue sticks, everything else within that pile would be incinerated or put into landfill. So that wasn't the answer. And it was just by chance I saw Learn Play Nexus and their UFill glue sticks on LinkedIn, and I connected up with Grant, who works at UFill, and that's how it all sort of came together.
It is like a wonderful serendipity, really, isn't it? When these wonderful things happen together. So yeah, could you tell us a bit more about the impact that it has had at your school, the UFill glue stick? Let's have some testimonial from somebody who's there on the ground, and also very briefly just recap and tell everybody what it is you do at your school, because you mentioned your eco crew, but what is your school environment, and what do you do, and how has the UFill impacted your school?
Yeah, so I'm a primary school teacher. I'm an eco coordinator, and I've taken my school from knowing nothing about the environment or looking after it to one of the top eco schools in the country. We're a multi-award winning school, and we've embedded the environmental curriculum across our curriculum. So every child knows their responsibility within school and within their community of what they need to do to make their world a better place for themselves and for others around them. And your question about the glue sticks, they are literally phenomenal. They have changed our lives. We use less glue now than we did, because the quality of the glue stick is phenomenal. It literally it's made us use less, which then less goes to landfill, and we've saved a lot of money too, which has helped our budget, because you probably know schools in England haven't got much money, so it means that we can then spend that money that we need on other resources for around our school, and the children just love it. The children love refilling. They know all the whole concept, the importance of refill, reducing, reusing. It's things that we can use this concept in the children's learning that they're doing within the classroom.
I think for me that is beyond the removing it from landfill and this, that, and the other. It's that whole concept of taking this thing that used to just be thrown away and making it something we can reuse, to introduce that to the sponges that are primary school brains. That whole idea of saying, this thing here, we can reuse it, and the impact of that, and not only using refillable glue sticks, but also using refillable whiteboard markers and refillable crayons and all these different things, and showing the students that, hey, you can do that, you can reuse them. And it's just the whole mindset starts to change, and it's with something. I don't want to say something small like a glue stick, because I don't want to belittle it in any way, but with something like a glue stick can start that whole mindset change.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important to reducing is the way forward. We need to get out of our, recycling is important, but where you're going to save your money, is reducing, reusing, repairing, repurposing. It's those R words now that we need to be focusing on within schools and within communities.
Exactly that. So, Charlie, I'm going to bring you back in now. You've now had your time patiently on the sidelines. You're starting a podcast soon with Ed. You are. So, how did that all come about? So obviously they found the glue sticks and they found you, and this beautiful synergy has started happening between you guys. But there is a new podcast, Get to Net Zero. Charlie, I'd like to ask you about how this kind of came about.
Well, as Ed mentioned, it was kind of like a chance thing on LinkedIn with my colleague Grant, and it's just brilliant to connect with someone like Ed, because as I've explained the process, at length. Hopefully that was interesting anyway, me going on and on and on. But I explained about our kind of process making the glue, developing that glue stick system and some of the other products we've done. But you get to the end of that process, you think, wow, we've innovated something here, and we're eliminating single-use plastics. You go to some settings, and they go, yeah, it's all right, because I like paying what I pay for my glue sticks, and yours is a little bit more expensive, so I'm all right, thank you. And luckily, we don't get it all the time. A lot of people are very enthusiastic about it, but some schools just go, do you know what? No, I'm not that interested in the environment. And they don't quite see, like Ed mentioned, just a saving that you can actually have by having a longer lasting glue stick, let alone one that saves the environment. But connecting with someone like Ed, who's an eco coordinator, a teacher, he's the person we've had in mind, and it's so nice to connect with that person. And Ed's just genuinely wants to shout about this all the time. We get so many leads and so many people approaching us because of what Ed's saying, and Ed's a bit of a celebrity in the eco world, and LinkedIn gets a lot
He
of
very much
interest.
is.
And rightly so, for all the great things he's doing, and we're just so appreciative of he's just going, yeah, I'm going to tell this person and tell her, oh, what you're saying, that person doesn't know about it, and I'm going to tell, if he knows them, he's going to have to tell them and spread the word, and it's just great. So we kind of sat down and said, well, Ed, how can we help, and so Ed's saying, well, I just want to reach out to more and more schools, and I want to get this message out there. There's not the support there for helping schools become, get to net zero. There's this kind of government guideline to say you've got to get there by 2025, or I'm not sure what the next, if that's moved now, but there's all these kind of framework in place. But Ed's really passionate about getting his experience out to other schools, and I think that we had a little bit of experience doing some webinar things with our customers, and I said, well, let's get something going on there, like a podcast or webinar type thing, and let's just start sharing the top tips. So we kind of come up with Get to Net Zero with Ed Moore, and we did, didn't we, Ed? We did do our very first one in November, and it was a little bit of a technical issue, but which we've overcome now. I remember it was 5 minutes before we were going to go live, and the connection completely dropped out. A little bit like my start of this episode, actually, when I couldn't mute myself. It was really, you just never know when these things are going to happen. And I ended up having Ed on my phone as a little picture, and it was just me there. But Ed, you came across so well, and everyone heard everything on that. So we kind of just got through it somehow. But I think, but we're gonna start doing these every month, aren't we, Ed? But we didn't want to do it over the Christmas period because it's not the best time for teachers. So we gave it a rest January and December and January, and we're thinking sort of February, March time. We're gonna kick it back up again, and it's going to be every month.
I think it is so important that teachers do have other teachers to hear from. I mean, I know that in my line of work, a lot of the teacher training I do and a lot of the talks I go to and I get asked to go to in schools and stuff, it is they want to hear these ideas, these hacks almost, as it were, of how can I be more environmentally friendly with not spending more money and not losing too much curriculum time. It's the big thing with a lot of so I go to a lot of public schools as well as by public schools, but that is not as it would be in England, by the way. A public school here is a state school. Confusing one, that. So I go into a lot of these state schools and we introduce these ideas, but it isn't only in the idea of in the English language class, it's in every class and how these ideas can be brought about and to not take too much time away from the curriculum, because as teachers, we all know as humans, really, what we don't have a lot of is time, like spare time, especially. So when you come to, when I go to a lot of schools, to a lot of teachers, and I say, hey, here are some ideas to be a bit greener, and their instant thought is, well, I've got exams to do, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. So having a podcast with these ideas from, and I'm going to say it, Ed, from an expert like Ed, it can only be helpful.
Absolutely. And Ed, I don't know if you want to add anything about kind of where you're coming from, because what you see, where you see. I spoke for you there. I mean, what do you kind of see? Where do you see get to net zero in a year's time? I mean, I think everyone who's interested should tune into this, because it is Ed's his secret toolbox. And but yeah, I mean, over to you, Ed. Really.
Well, cheers, Charlie. If in 12 months' time, if we can have feedback from schools to say that the pod that our webinars and our top tips have really helped them to progress their environmental targets, and they've become eco schools, then it's all been worthwhile in doing the webinars that we've been doing and the top tips. And I hope that we can get guests on and we can accelerate the learning of the teachers and the schools that are tuning in to our webinars. And I'm really passionate. I've got this wealth of knowledge that I've learned on the job. I've had no training, but I've just learned how it all works and how what schools need. And I just want to share that knowledge to help other schools become as sustainable as possible.
I love that idea. So as you mentioned, the secret toolbox, as it were, there, Charlie. It's a lovely phrase, because there are a lot of people out there and a lot of educators and so on that while we're in our classrooms and stuff, we're free with all of our knowledge, with everything, but there are some things that we do want to kind of keep to ourselves. But this idea of when it comes to sustainability and net zero and that kind of thing, and eco champions, I've never met one who doesn't want to share these ideas with others, because the end goal isn't to have your school as the greenest school in the world. The end goal is to have as many other schools as you can find to be as green as yours. And I imagine that's another motivation behind this podcast.
Yeah, 100%, Harry. The more eco schools we can get, the better. Perhaps we could even get those schools that have become eco schools through our webinars to come on our show and share their sort of stories, and yeah, it's all about a domino effect. It's all about getting as many schools as possible to become environmental schools. It's not about a personal thing of seeing how many awards we can get or how many, how much better we can get. It's all about spreading the word and getting as many environmental schools, as many children, young people involved in environmental campaigns as we can.
And I do also love that idea when you do have a number of schools in like a district in an area, and there is that not necessarily competitive nature, but there is the kind of keeping up with the Joneses thing there. Not to use a pun on the name there, sorry Charlie, but yeah, when you see another school in your area has become an eco school, and you think, hang on a minute, maybe if they're doing it, we also kind of should be doing that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen it firsthand. We became, in our area, we became the first eco school, and then suddenly a load of schools started knocking on our door, sort of saying, well, what are you doing differently that we're not doing? And can we come and have a look, see what you're doing? And then suddenly, that whole domino effect, school after school after school within the area just started to, become environmentally friendly. And then they started getting in contact, and I started mentoring them and helping them to get better at what they were doing. And then they were sending out the messages far and wide. And that's what we want to do.
I think something that I'd really like to stress to our listeners today as well, and like to really emphasize this, that you are working in a primary school. You're working with very young children. These are ideas that often when people approach me, they're like, oh, but can you really do these things with very young children? And I often use you as an example, because absolutely, and I say that this is the place where we should be doing it. We don't need to go in there with the doom and gloom and the awful prospects and so on and so forth. We need to go in there with the how can we be greener? What more can we do from our standpoint? And if we are molding these young minds to think that way, then that can only be a good thing for the future.
Oh, 100%. The young children are so passionate. I see it firsthand every day. Think that 5-year-olds can talk about the climate change. They know what they need to be doing, what their purpose is, what their parents need to be doing. They're badgering them to reduce and get on their bikes and improve their well-being and their environment within their homes. And I think that's really important. It's one thing teaching it within the school, but then you want it to then get out there into the community and spread. At first hand, just this week we've been doing a big topic about the oceans in my class, and to think that my class, they're 5 and 6 years old and they can talk about climate change. They in their own little terms, they know what they're so passionate, and they're out there with their litter pickers picking up litter in their villages and their towns, countryside, on the beaches. It's phenomenal that they have this great passion at such a young age.
It is fantastic, and I often go down this litter picking alley. It's something that is very close to my heart. And again, I know it's not the solution to plastic, because we're dealing with a symptom, but it is a really good way of getting young people engaged with a very visual problem, and getting people to see the difference they can make. And there are like apps available where they can log what they have picked up and stuff, so they can see it growing, and that can then connect in to science and maths, and all sorts of other subjects as well. So it's something I'm so passionate about litter picking. Possibly too passionate about litter picking. But yeah, it's something that is so easy to get everyone involved with, to get everyone on a litter pick and those ideas. And this is, for me, that was always like a key starting point. But I like to see now before that. And this is what I've learned a lot from you, Ed, especially, like that it are the things before the litter picking. Yes, litter picking's great, and it does clear up these issues, but we can go so much further before that with our students. And now whenever I go on a litter pick, I always talk about the life cycle of a plastic bottle or something like that. So it does raise that awareness of not only before they've picked it up, but also where it would go afterwards, and all of these different ideas. And when we come back to, I'm going to come back to the UFill glue sticks. It's not something that they'll ever find on a litter pick, because it isn't something that ever needs to be thrown out. So we can teach about this reusing before we have to go out and do the litter picking.
Yeah, definitely. It's going out and reusing the glue sticks for one. So important. You won't find a glue stick anywhere on a beach or anything like that. And to think that the plastic containers that the refills come in, can be used in so many different ways. You can use them as, I've used them as like music shakers. You can put paint in them. There's so many different ways that you can reuse those containers, but also really importantly, you can just send them back to Learn Play Nexus, and then they'll refill them again and send them out.
So I'm going to jump back over to Charlie again now, and I'm going to ask. So, other than the glue sticks, I know we've mentioned very briefly some of the other eco-friendly innovations like the wood pulp and stuff. But are there any others you'd like to mention? Any other refillables that are available, or anything else on there that's particularly eco-friendly?
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you, what are your top 5? I love asking people for lists of top 5s. I don't know why. It's just something I love lists.
Yeah, well, obviously, top of the leaderboard, definitely UFill for what we've done. I think definitely check out our chalky pastels, as you mentioned before, because they have refills within that product. We have our refillable handwriting pens, our eco writers. So you simply just refill the cartridges, and then we also have our grippies. They weren't refillable, and they are now refillable. So handwriting pens are a big one. I'll tell you what's going to be a game changer is when we do it to our whiteboard pens, and we are working on that at the moment. Whiteboard pens, again, let's be honest, we are supplying whiteboard pens, but we know that it's an issue. For the environment, we have to make that refillable, because at the moment they aren't refillable, and so there you go. We're contributing to the issue, but that is going to be in the pipeline very, very soon, and we're working with that in production at the moment, and that's going to be such a game changer. I think I would put the bamboo block play up there with that as well, because it's like you're reusing that grass plant. I want to bring that back to that again, because I think it's just an amazing thing that natural resource is just kind of being replenished inside of itself. And so that is in itself reusable. So they're my kind of the ones that scream out to me. But yeah, no, please do check us out, and look at all the other things that we're doing. But yeah, I think, and again, like I mentioned before, just stay tuned. It's not not this year, but I think maybe the following year there could be some additions to the UFill range aside from glue. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Oh, you're teasing us now, Charlie. That's just cruel. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll obviously put the website will be in the description below. So anybody who wants to go check it out, please do go and have a look. It's for a person like myself, it's a bit of a dream to just sit here and flick through. It's a bit like, do you remember when you were a kid? I know it was a long time ago for me, but I used to go to my nan's house and flick through the Argos catalogue. And I'd sit there and I'd go through, like, looking at all the different toys that I would never get. Well, for me, I'm just sitting here looking through this, thinking, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, because it looks really lovely.
think the important thing as well to stress is that just remember, it's very hard to understand sometimes what a product can do for your educational environment, and we do free demonstrations. So just and if you're in the UK or Ireland, I know we've got listeners to this radio station far and wide, but if you are in those areas, then chances are we have a representative not far away from you, and it's a free demonstration if you want anything to actually be seen in the flesh as well. It's good to mention that.
Absolutely, it really is, because certainly it's nice to see a lot of these things in action. And I'm guessing if there is somebody from further abroad, because as you mentioned, you do supply to other places, there would be a way of them to speak to you via Teams or Zoom, or you'd be able to demonstrate the things in that respect. For anybody who's listening from further afar, so you mentioned you did supply to other countries as well.
Yeah.
Do you know which ones they are? Because I'm about to open my basket.
Well, so it's really interesting actually when you talk about Henkel developing the glue stick in 1969, and they have lots of other big brands out there of glue sticks as well. They're kind of like Germany are the kind of like the leading ones for the early innovations, but actually a lot of educational suppliers are now in Germany are sourcing their glue through us. So we actually do our own. We brand their glue sticks with the chemist and the factory we use, and we supply them. We supply the Germans their glue sticks in a lot of cases, which we're quite proud of. And we've recently got a Swiss company, because UFIL is quite an early concept, and as I mentioned earlier, we haven't been able to visit our trade show in Germany that we do annually until actually we'll be there at the beginning of February. But we do have the first company who are going to rebrand UFIL with a co-brand, I should say, UFIL with their logo underneath, and they'll be the exclusive distributor for Switzerland. But as I mentioned before, the glue sticks in their prior form, before we had the UFIL system, we've been supplying to many countries. So lots of German companies. We have a Dutch partner that we work with, and actually they're going to be doing a lot with UFIL this year as well. But the Swiss company is the first to actually place an order in the UFIL system, and they will be doing their own version of the UFIL system in their country. So we're getting this message out there, and I must please ask anyone listening, please do shout about this, because we're a small company really, and I know we're doing some big things, as I said there, but we're quite a small company in relative terms to some other companies out there in the education industry, and it's about awareness. And this can't come fast enough. If everyone keeps using glue sticks in the way they are at the moment, just think about the colossal amount of landfill that is. And this message can't get out there fast enough, because, like I said, we can get this across the world because we do trade our products, and even in the UK and Ireland, where we're most predominant. We've got a long way to go before we reach all the corners, and it's all about awareness. So please do really get into the whole system. Go to our website, learn about it, do your own research on can you recycle glue sticks. You'll see it yourself. This is a major problem that we're trying to solve.
It absolutely is, and as you say, it's something that people don't know a lot about, and they do. Well, they'll see something plastic, and their immediate assumption is going to be, I can recycle that because it's plastic. And it was something that Pat mentioned earlier with, recycling numbers and so on and so forth. But yeah, people just immediately assume that can be recycled, but it just can't. And it's great that you've come up with this fantastic and innovative idea. And as you say, it's starting out, and I do hope it can spread to to other places across the UK and Ireland, but then well beyond that, because as I say, today in class there were a couple of students that finished their glue stick for which we've had it since September, so it's not terrible going. And they are 6, so there has been a bit of gluing done in the classes. But as you say, the quality of their glue, like, I don't know what percentage of glue solid it had in there, but it certainly wasn't the best glue in the world. And it's also helped me think as a teacher to really teaching students how to glue properly. It's as a lesson in itself. And I guess that's something that the blue stick must really help with. And I'm going to ask Ed about that one. So Ed, just particularly about the blue stick, how has that changed with because you're teaching 5 and 6 year olds, I think you said. How has that helped their gluing skills? Because as teachers, gluing dexterity can be one of the most frustrating things in the world.
It's literally changed our lives. We use the blue sticks with our reception classes, so our 4 and 5 year olds, and literally they know where to put the glue. They can see it on the page. They know not to use too much. Whereas before it would literally come out in a massive clump and it'd be like ripped, and like there'll be bubbles and there'll be creases in the page, and it'd just look it looked awful. But with the blue stick, it's fantastic. They know not to use too much. They can actually see it where they're putting it, and then it dries clear and it sticks. It sticks the first time, not the third or fourth time. It doesn't hang off the page, or a gust of wind takes it and you don't see it again. It's fantastic. And then when they get to me, they're then using the quick stick, the white stick, which is fantastic in itself too. We just wanted that progression, so they learn with the blue stick in reception, and then when they come to us, they use another stick, and then when they get further up the school, they use the clear stick, which is, I think that's like the best glue stick ever. Charlie, am I right?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. I was thinking, I haven't done the clear stick enough justice yet on this, and I hope I haven't run out of time. But yeah, I mean, look, we like I said, lots of trial and error over the years with our blue sticks, and initially we didn't even develop our own formulas. It was just off the shelf stuff. But we've pushed the boundaries with all of it. The blue stick, for example, the all colour sticks. The issue with other suppliers, that the colour will fade on the shelf after some time. We've pushed the boundary with the formula, so the colour is the strongest colour, and it lasts the longest. So it will be, you'll never have an issue with it, because by the time you've got it on your shelf, it won't be on your shelf. You'll be using it, and that's we've overcome that. With our PVP white stick, you will not be dissatisfied. The way that this glides on the page, I mean, like I said, the amount of water that is in that formula dictates how much it puckers on the page, and the kind of like the way it kind of goes a bit wavy and stuff. Well, normally you'd expect at least a little bit of that from the white stick, and you've got virtually none of that. And then when you move on to the clear stick, yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more, and we do some nice offers on these as well, but it will cost you a little bit more, but it does everything, and it's like the premium stick that it applies really smooth. I mean, if I was in front of you, Harry, if we had our video working again, I'd show you. But you can, if you apply on the page, it will stay sticky, and you can actually hold it in your finger up on the page. And a white stick would dry after about 30 seconds, and if you touched it on the page, that would be it. What that means is you can apply it even to like very thin tissue paper. It glides on that page, so it won't pull it or nag it. There's very low water content. So then you can apply a piece of paper to that, stick it down, and you can actually reposition it. We say 60 seconds on the product, but in a very warm day, it might be 60 seconds, but you've got really almost 2 minutes of free play with it. You can take it off, you won't ruin your work, and reposition it. But also on a vertical, when you're working vertically on, say, some card, you could literally apply just like a little bit onto pom-pom, stick that on that card, and that'll stick. That's not going anywhere. So it's got the highest amount of glue solids, but it's repositionable for the longest. And it is a different formulation. It's not your standard PVP. It's a unique, clear formulation that we've developed. And even I know there's a big thing about caps going missing. Well, actually, if you leave the cap off of this particular model, you only get like a little film that dries, you can actually scrape that off with the bottom of the cap.
Oh, and you don't ruin the whole thing. It doesn't dry out.
You only lose a certain amount of it. So you can kind of revive it. So I know that's a big game changer as well. So just think about that kind of the amount of benefits you're getting. Of course, you're going to pay for it. So we've got these price point. We've got these different sticks with different budgets and different purposes. But trust me, the blue stick as a color stick, we push the boundaries. A white stick, the PVP quick stick, we push the boundaries. But it's the quickest setting as well. So it sets after about 30 seconds to a minute. It does most of your general stuff. Obviously, the blue stick's ideal for those early years, but you don't necessarily need a blue stick after that early year stage. And then obviously a clear stick, if you're doing art and craft and you want the best, your child, your students have done all that work. Imagine them sticking something down, and they've gone through all the effort of making a beautiful piece of artwork, and they stuck it to their books, and then it's got little, it hasn't stuck properly, or it's got little wavy bits in it, or it's got little lumpy bits underneath the page,
or it falls out for 30 seconds later.
Yeah, exactly. So trust us. We've done our field research. We've had our blunders in the past. We've learnt. We've got our own chemist. The quality's second to none, and it's the only reusable solution in the world. We believe. We looked around. There's no one else doing it. No one does our drop and swap service like we do, and it's completely free. And you just need to buy some more refills when you've depleted your box of 50 refills, or however many you've got you want to reorder, and that's away you go. It's one journey in the van, so it's better for the environment. It picks up and drops off at the same time. We've kind of just covered all the bases, really, and you won't be dissatisfied with the quality. Don't take my word for it. We've got Ed, who, our relationship with Ed is genuine. Ed's not there, just because we begged him. Ed, we're on. I like to think we're on the same wavelength for this stuff anyway.
Yeah, definitely, Charlie. We've got the same sort of morals, and we got the same beliefs, and we want to do this. We want the same sort of things for the schools and for the children across the UK, but across the world as well. So I think what I'm doing and what you're doing connects so well together that it makes such a beautiful partnership.
They stick together beautifully, eh? They stick together. I just thought I'd try and get
Harry,
another glue pun in there
tonight. Your puns have been amazing.
You see, as a father, that is my job to come up with as many puns and dad jokes as possible. So we are running very short on time. We've got a couple of minutes left. So I want to first of all thank you both for coming on, of course. I want to thank Ed for all of the work he's doing in general, and I also want to thank him for all the things he puts up on LinkedIn for me to read and enjoy and share and share with my students. He's really helped me out with that. That's for sure. There's a lot on there. And I want to thank you especially, Charlie, for coming on, but for your honesty and your frankness with everything. You haven't just come on and said, we are the answer. We are saving the planet on our own. You've come on and you've said, we've made mistakes. There are still things we need to change. There are things we need to work on. And I really appreciate that honesty, that it hasn't just been we're going to save the planet because we created you, Phil. The idea is we're trying to save the planet, and we've started with you, Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. and we do have a long way to go. But if everyone could at least adopt this system, I think we would have achieved something. Well, as a starting point, I think in trying to make classrooms greener. How about that?
Exactly that. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. And yeah, as I mentioned before, it's so important to have forward-thinking companies like yourself who are there and making that effort to be greener and to make our classrooms greener, to help our green teachers like Ed, and I'm sure so many other of our listeners out there, to be able to use these materials, these adhesives, this stationery, the stuff that we use for our literacy and handwriting, our numeracy, all of this stuff that is out there to help make that difference.
Yeah, well, I'd say having a platform like this is fantastic. So I really want to thank you, Harry, for. I mean, yeah, it's lovely to actually been kind of listening to your episode before with Ed. It was like, well, let's get Learn Play Nexus on, and it was like an invitation. So that was lovely, and it's been a great platform, and just really excited to hear any feedback that anyone has, and please everybody, yeah, and our next webinar with Get to Net Zero, stay tuned. We're going to have on our website, you can find the Get to Net Zero with Ed Moore page on our site. There's a number of places you can find that link on our web page. If you can't find it, just email us and we'll send you all the information. But very soon we'll have an upcoming registration date that you can register to. That'll be up there very soon. And then once you're registered, you'll get a countdown, and then you can join in. We do top tips. I do a PDF of Ed's top tips from every webinar. So we've got those top tips from the last one, which is about waste management. So Ed's top tips. You can go to our website, download that, and there's more information there too. And that's going to grow and grow. And we've got high hopes for it. I think it's a really hopefully going to be an effective way to share that message and to help eco coordinators, really.
I have shared the link in the chat here. I'll also put it in the description box. And I have to say, I do agree with his number one tip of writing to organizations. And that's another way of improving our literacy at the same time and improving our handwriting by writing to organizations. So that's just to show you how easy it is to jump on there and download that PDF just like that. It will be in the description box. So thanks again, Charlie. It's been wonderful having you on. Ed, thank you so much for coming on again. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait to tune in to Get to Net Zero.
Cheers, Harry. Great to be on. Great to speak to you again.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks so much.
Cool. And
thanks,
for
Ed.
everybody... Oh, there we go. Thanks, everybody. That's where we needed the Zoom bit so we could all agree that was the final goodbye part. That's the awkward part of it there, because I just don't want to say goodbye. It's been so lovely to have you both on. An absolute pleasure. I can't wait to stay in touch with you and continue to follow you on this wonderful journey. Thanks to everyone for listening. I'll be back next week, but you have been listening to the Twilight Show with Learn Play Nexus. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you all soon.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.